All right, introductory algebra homework day 17. It says find the perimeter or area of a rectangle given one of these values. What we're going to do is kind of like on the previous page where we had those shapes and we had to find the perimeter that were labeled with X's and whatever. In this case, we're going to have our rectangle, and the first sentence is going to give you the length in terms of the width. The length of my rectangle is 4 yards longer than its width. We're not going to know what the width is, so we're just going to call the width W. I'm going to go ahead and label that over here. We're going to write the length in terms of the width. The length is 4 yards longer than its width. 4 yards longer means I'm adding 4 to the width. So my length would be W plus 4. The perimeter of my rectangle is 40 yards. So again, we think about the formula for perimeter. Perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. We're then going to substitute in what we know. The perimeter is 40. So 40 is equal to 2 times the length. But in for the length, we replaced it with W plus 4. So we're going to say 2 times, now I'm writing 2 times our W plus 4, plus that 2W we already had. 2 times W plus 4 because both of these are W plus 4, and then 2W because we have this side that's W and this side that's W. Solving that then, 40 is equal to 2 times W is 2W, 2 times 4 plus 8 plus 2W. So just using our distributive property right there. Combining our like terms, 40 is going to equal 4W plus 8. If I looked at this rectangle here and I added up all the sides like we did on the previous page, I have 1W, 2W, 3W, 4W, and then I have 4 plus 4, which is 8. My perimeter is 4W plus 8. Solving this, I'm going to subtract my 8. So 32 is equal to 4W. And then, of course, I have to divide by 4. 8 is going to be my width. So over here, W equals 8. My width is 8. I still want to know what my length of that rectangle is, so I'm going to go here and say, okay, the length side is 8 plus 4, so my length is going to be 12. The question, however, didn't ask you for the dimensions of the rectangle. The question is going to ask you for the area of that rectangle. Well, earlier when we did all that stuff in the review, we said the formula for area is to take the length times the width. And that's why we need to define both the length and the width of our rectangle. So the length we said was 12, the width we said was 8, and so 12 times 8 is going to give me my answer. 12 times 8 is 96. And so 96 yards squared is going to be the area of that rectangle. The second one then. Starting again with my rectangle. It says the length of my rectangle is 5 times the width. The length of my rectangle is 5 times the width. 5 times W is going to be 5W. So this time, instead of having an adding one, we have a multiplying one. The length is 5 times the width. Again, we know what the perimeter is 84. P equals 2L's plus 2W's. So substituting in, 84 is our perimeter. We're going to take 2 times the length, but in for the length, we have to substitute in our 5W plus our 2W. We have 2 sides here that are 5W, 2 sides that are a plain W. So solving that, 84 equals 10W plus 2W. 2 times 5W is 10W. Adding our like terms, 84 equals 12W. If I look up that rectangle here and I add up all my sides, 5 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1 gives me my 12W. I'm going to divide by 12. 84 divided by 12 is 7. So my width is going to be 7. So again, like on that previous one, I want to go fill in my rectangle. I know that my width is 7. I know that my length is 5 times the width. So 5 times 7 is 35. And so now I know what my length and my width are. I can answer the question. The question says, what is the area of that rectangle? So if I'm going to find area, my formula is length times width. My length is 35 times my width is 7. I have to take 35 times 7. 35 times 7 gives me 245. So 245 inches squared is going to be my answer. The third one. Again, I'm going to have my rectangle, draw it over here. It says the length of my rectangle is 3 times its width. So again, 3 times its width, L is going to equal 3W. So over here my width is W, my length is 3 times the width, so is 3W if I label my sides. However, notice on this question doesn't tell you what the perimeter is. This one starts by telling you what the area is. So we want to start with the formula for area. Area is equal to the length times the width. So 108, and don't worry about the label meter square, just do the 108 is equal to the length, but in for the length, we got to substitute in 3W times my W. Right? If I'm going to find area, I'm going to do 3W times W. Now, we haven't talked about this yet in introductory algebra, but if I take a 3W times a W, I'm doing W times W, which is W squared. Just like when you do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, you put that exponent on it. 2 times 2 is 2 squared. 3 times 3 would be 3 squared. 4 times 4 would be 4 squared. W times W is W squared. So 3W times W is 3W squared. If I want to solve that, I'm going to get rid of my coefficient first. So I'm actually going to divide by that 3 to get the 3 out of there. So I'm going to take 108 divided by 3, which gives me 36. 36 is equal to W squared. Now probably most of you in your head can think about what number times itself is 36, but what technically you're doing is the opposite of squaring. The opposite of squaring is taking the square root. So I would say the square root of 36 is equal to W. And the square root of 36 is 6. You know that if you take 6 squared, 6 times 6, you get 36. So I found my width. My width is 6. I still want to do my length. My length we said was 3 times 6 is 18. So I know my width and I know my length. The question, however, says to find the perimeter. So now we have to go back to our formula for perimeter. Perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. So 2 times the length, which is 18, plus 2 times the width, which is 6. 2 times 18 is 36. 2 times 6 is 12. 36 plus 12 is 48. So 48 is the answer to our question. So those are the 3 ways you're going to see that problem. When you get to those ones, look to see, well, which one of these 3 examples does it read most like? And then you can kind of follow how we solve them. Perimeter and area. Number 4 says Lamar has scored 99, 71, 58, and 73 on his previous 4 tests. What score does he need so his next test, so that his average or mean is 79? If I'm going to get an average of 79, it's like I got a 79 on every single test I took. So if I had an average of 79, I could find the total points I need by taking 79 times the total number of tests. He took 4 already, and he's going to take 1 more, so he's going to have 5 total tests altogether, right? So 79 times 5 is 395. That's going to give you the total points he'd have to get on every test. We already know some of them he got. On Alex, they make you add them up first, but if you're using your calculator, you might as well just say minus 99, minus 71, minus 58, and minus 73. Those are the scores he actually got. $94. He'd have to get a 94 on his last test to make up for these couple scores that weren't very good. Now, if you wanted to check your answer, what you would do is you would say, okay, how do I find the average? I would take 99 plus 71 plus 58 plus 73 plus 94. And if I add all those together, I should get the 395. And then if I divide 395 by the 5 tests I took, it should come out to the 79. There's what I just said. So if I added all the ones he had plus the last one I did, should get that same total I had before. And then if I divide it by 5 tests, I should get the average of 79. 94 is my answer though. 94, that's what you told me?
94 is the average mean?
Is your average, yep. Or no, is what you have to get on the last test. So that his average is 79, right? He had some higher, but he had some lower. He had this 58 that he had to make up for. So he had to do good on his last test. So Frank has scored a 28, a 19, a 20, a 26, and a 22 in his 5 basketball games so far. How many points does he need to score in his next game so that his average is 24 points a game? So I want to find the total number of points that he'd have to have an average of 24. I'm going to take 24 times how many games total is he going to play?
Basketball goes so far. So 6.
6, because he did 5 and he's going to do 1 more, right? So if I got 24 points per game for all 6 games that I played, how many points would I need to have?
144.
144. Now, he already played some games. We can subtract off the points he has already scored. So subtract off our 28, subtract off 19, subtract off 20, subtract off 26, and subtract off 22. That should then give us what we need for our last game.
Yep.
All right. Assume if you both got the same answer, it must be right. So he has to get a 29 in his last game so that his average ends up being 24 because he only got 19 there and 20 there and 22 there, so he's got some points to make up on that last game. So Maria is participating in a 6-day cross-country biking challenge. She biked for 60, 60, 55, 55, and 64 miles on the first 5 days. How many miles does she need to bike on the last day so that her average is 59 miles per day? So if I want my average to be 59 miles a day on my 6-day biking challenge, what am I going to do first?
59 times 6.
59 times 6 to find out the total miles I need over the course of that 6 days.
354.
354. So if she needs a total of 354 miles, she's already biked some of them. So we're going to subtract off the 60, another 60, a 55, another 55, and a 64 to see how many she has to do on that last day. You guys getting 60?
60.
All right, 60 must be it then. All right, now we're getting to some of those percent things. We talked about percents way back in the review chapter, but now they're throwing some more percents in there and wanting you to work with the percent equation. The percent equation says if you take the percent of the base, it's equal to the part. Of in algebra means times. So the percent times the base equals the part. So when you're picking out those values, look for the one that's followed by the word of. That's your times symbol. If I'm going to translate this into an equation, I'm saying 12 is what percent, we don't know, of times 80. Now if I want to solve that for p, what do I have to do?
12 divided by 80.
I have to divide by 80, exactly. Now when you do that, you're going to get a decimal because we're looking for a percentage, which comes out as a decimal. We have to change it to a percent. If you take your calculator and do 12 divided by 80, what do you get?
0.15.
0.15. Oops, 0.15. What am I writing the 2 for? Because I looked at that 12 up there. 0.15. 0.15 is what percent?
25.
Is, oh, you got 0.25? Because you got 0.15?
15%.
15%. Because what does percent mean? Percent means out of 100, so we just move our decimal 2 places to the right or take it by 100 and add the percent sign. So 0.15 is 15%. So 12 is 15% of 80. If we look at the next one, 45%. Now when we work with 45%, we want to change that to a decimal. What decimal is 45% equal to? 0.45. 0.45 of means times 60 is what number? She already has it figured out. How'd you figure that out? We just multiplied those together, right? The x is already all by itself or whatever variable you decide to use. So these two are on the same side. I'm just going to multiply 0.45 times 60. And you get 27. 45% of 60 is 27, right? Thinking about things that are common, 50% would be half. Half of 60 is 30, so 45% should be a little less than 30. It is, it's 27. So, number 8, I want to translate that into an equation. It says 36 is what percent of 48? What should my equation be?
36 equals T and 48.
And you can use whatever variable you want. I just put P for percent. But yes, 36 equals what percent? We put a variable there. Of means times 48. So again, in order to solve that, we're going to 36 divided by 48, 0.75, and then we have to change 0.75 to a percent. Times 100 gives me 75%. So 36 is 75% of 48. Part B, translating that into an equation. 76 is 95% of what number?
So x equals.
Just do it in the order. So
75 times 95.
No.
No,
Equals
76 equals,
is 95% of what number?
95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95. 95.
What do we do for 95%? 0.95 times, we don't know, right? So this is a little different than the part B one on the previous one. We're missing a different thing. 76 equals 95%, 0.95 of what? Times something. So in order to solve this one, what do we end up doing? Dividing by that 0.95. So 76 divided by 0.95 gives me 80 for our number. So 76 is 95% of 80, right? 95% is almost all of 80, not quite. So you could be missing the percent, you could be missing what's called the base of what, or you might be missing that end amount like we did on part B of the previous ones. So there's 3 different ways you're going to see them, and they're going to give you 2 at a time. And we just have to translate them just like they look, just like in that order. So 65% of 60 is what? What should my equation be? 0.65 times 60 equals W. What? Whatever we want to use there, right? 65%, 0.65 of means times 60. Since our W is by itself, we just are going to multiply those two together. 39 you got? 39. 65% is more than half, so more than half of 60 would be 30. That would make some sense, right? Part B. Translating that into an equation. 0.55 times W equals 22. So if I want to solve that, I'm going to divide by the 0.55, exactly.
40.
So 55% of 40 would be 22. A little more than half of 40. Yep. Now, that was part A. Part B is going to look pretty much the same, but now sometimes they're going to get answers that maybe are more than 100% or might have percentages that are more than 100%, but they pretty much are exactly the same thing we just got doing. Our answers just might not be as pretty. Applying the percent equation problem type 2 are going to be very similar to what we did for type 1, except now we're going to have decimals in there and a little more complicated expressions. Again, we want to keep in mind that we're taking what percent of times the base equals the part. And if we have a percent, we have to change it to a decimal when we work that out. So translating 8.82 is equals 52.5%. As a decimal, we move our decimal back 2 places. So 0.525 of means times what number? I'm going to use n for what number? In order to solve this for n, I've got to move this to the other side. So since this is multiplying, I have to divide by my 5.25. And I'm going to go ahead and just do that on the calculator. So if I have 8.82 divided by 0.525, I get 16.8. 16.8. So 52.5% of 16.8 is 8.82. 52% is about 50%, so about half of 16 would be 8. Yep, that looks pretty good. The next one. What is? So, they like to use W on the previous ones. W equals 115%. 115% as a decimal, I have to move that 2 places back, would be 1.15 of times 73.8. So in this case, I'm just going to multiply those 2 numbers together. 1.15 times 73.8. 1.15 times 73.8 gives me 84.87. So 84.87 is 115% of 73. 100% would be equal to 73. Since this is more than 100%, this is going to be more than our 73. So that would make sense that we got 84.87. Number 11. 7.38 is 7.5% of what number? So 7.38 is equals 7.5%. I have to move my decimal back 2 places. Think about what 7% is. 7% is 0.07. So I'm going to get 0.075 when I move that back 2 places. Of what number? And so again on this one, we're just going to solve it by dividing. So I'm going to divide by 0.075. 7.38 divided by 0.075 gives me 98.4. Right? 7% isn't a very big part. The next one, it says 127.5 is equals what percent of 51? Of means times. So again, to solve that to get the percent by itself, since this is times, I'm going to end up dividing by that 51. 127.5 divided by 51 gives me the decimal 2.5. 2.5 is what percent? I still need to change my percent or my decimal into a percent, so I have to multiply it by 100. 2.5 times 100 gives me 250%. Right? 200% would be twice as big as that. And we have 250%, so it's more than twice as big as that. So whenever I ask what percent, I get this value, I still have to multiply it by 100 to change it to the percent. Number 12, what is 75% of 32.2? So what is 75%? 75%, 0.75 of 32.2. That one's not too bad. 75% is 0.75. Again, these are on the same side. We're just going to multiply. So 0.75 times 32.2 gives me 24.15. And the last one on there, 55.04, is what percent of 21.5? So 55.04 is what percent of 21.5? I want to solve that for the percent. This is times. When I move it over, I have to divide by the 21.5. So 55.04 divided by 21.5 gives me 2.56. 2.56 is what percent? Again, like on that previous one on number 11 that asked what percent, this is a decimal equivalent. What percent is 2.56 equal to? 2.56 times 100 is 256%. Again, 200% would be double that. That's more than twice that. So we know that that answer seems accurate if I think about common things, what 100% is, 200% is, and so forth. All right. Then is working with a percent equation. It says without a calculator, but you can use your calculator if you want to. It says an item is regularly priced at $60. It's on sale for 65% off the regular price. What is the sale price? So when we're thinking of this, what we're thinking about is that we take the percent that we actually paid times the regular price to equal the sell price, right? 30% of my $100 would mean the sell price would be $30. So the tricky part here is we sometimes will have an off, a discount, a less. When we do this, we could do it two different ways, but because I know something else is coming up, this is the way I'm suggesting you do this. If I do 60% off, or 65% off, I want to find out what percent I actually paid. Full price would be 100%. 100 minus 65 is
35?
35. So the percent that I paid was 35%. 35% of my regular price will give me what the sell price is. So 35% is 0.35. My regular price is $60. If I take 0.35 times 60, I get an answer of 21. So it was regularly priced at $60. It's 65% off. I'm only going to pay $21.
That is so much easier than
Well, I could show you a different way to do it if you wanted to.
no.
But because I know that you're going to have to find the regular price, knowing the sell price, this is the easiest way to do it without having to memorize a bunch of formulas. So this is in business math called the complement. If it's 65% off, I pay 35%. So if I look at the next one, the price of an item has been reduced by 30%. The original price was $70. What is the price of the item now? So if it was reduced by 30%, what percent did I actually pay? 70%. So 70% of my regular price, $70, would be how much? $49. So it was reduced by 30%. I'm now only going to pay $49 instead of $70. Now, we get so used to having reduce, less, whatever. Be careful because sometimes it just says of the original price. And if it says of, that just means I'm using that number times the regular price. I don't have to subtract first, right? The 30% is not a discount. It's the percent I paid. So, an item on sale is 30% of the original price, which was $50. So 15 is the sell price, right? 30% isn't a big part of the original price. You get a 70% discount, it means. So be careful. A lot of them will be reduced, less, something that tells me I have to subtract. But if it says of in there, then I'm just going to multiply and get my answer. I'm going to use that percent that they give me. And now they're going to do the other way around. Dan bought a sofa on sale for $333.20. This price was 34% of the original price. What was the original price? So if I set up my equation, 34% of the original price is equal to the end price, $33.20. How do I solve that for the original price? I'm going to divide. So if I know my sell price, I'm going to divide it by the percent that I paid to find out my starting price. I didn't want to use an O. What was it? $980? So it started out at $980. That's 34% of the regular price, and then I ended up with $333.20 for what I had to pay. Number 17, at a sale this week, a desk is being sold for $703. This is a 26% discount from the original price. We want to find the original price. So we know the end price was $703, right? This one, we're not going to use that percent that's listed because it doesn't say of, it says discount. So if it was a 26% discount from the original price, what percent did I actually pay? If my discount's 26%, what percent did I pay?
Oh, I'm on the wrong number.
74%. So 74% of my original price is going to equal my sell price. So just like on those previous ones, when it says discount less,
So you
off,
go 100 times.
subtract 100.
Yes.
Yep, 100 minus 26% gives me 74%. Now I can solve that by dividing, right? What was the price to begin with? $9.50. And I believe on these ones you'll get nice whole number answers, so if you're getting some crazy decimal, you know you did something wrong. So, 18, a table is on sale for 76% off. The sale price is $76.80. What was the regular price? So we know the end price was $76.80. We're trying to find the original price. What percent are we going to have there? Nope.
Oh, I had 20.
0.24. How'd you get 0.24?
That's the price you paid?
Because I have to take it away from 100%, which is the full price, right? So full price is 100%. My discount was 76%. That means I paid 24%. And then again, we're going to divide to solve that. So 76.80 divided by 0.24 gives me 320. But it was 76% off. That means I got a pretty big discount, right? So watch for that when you're doing those percent problems where you're working with discounts and whatever. If it says discount, off, less, I subtract from 100 first and then use the percent. The only time you use the percent that's there is if it says of right behind it. 30% of the regular price. Then that tells me to just times. All right, that should be the next 6 things. Hopefully you're working on your application problems.
Yep.